I don't really like see myself as like a coach or anything, but it's just like if I put in the extra effort to try and like help my teammates become better, it's gonna like reflect in my play as well.
Hi guys, this is Tom reporting from the LEC, and with me here is Odoamne, the top laner for Schalke 04. How are you doing, Odo?
Hey, great, life's great.
Life is great. I sense a hint of sarcasm there.
Yeah, quite a lot of it actually.
Yeah, let's just dive right into that. Schalke is in quite a horrible state, and this was obviously not what everybody had hoped for the team, especially given that in the spring split towards the end there seemed to be an upward trend with you guys. You actually started to pick up wins and play more confidently, and now it's back to square one. How is this from your perspective?
I just think that at the end of spring split, some of the teams that we are like beating kind of had like these breakdowns. Like Rogue started being worse. Who else was it? Vitality and stuff, like Excel. But I just think that the teams that we were kind of beating and got higher in the standings, because we were like 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Um, they like all made upgrades with like the roster coming into summer split. Like Vitality got Labrov. Excel changed their mid and top, and stuff like this. While we didn't really like make any upgrades, we're still kind of like stuck with the same roster, and other teams just kind of got better, and we're just kind of outclassed individually. And I think that's just mostly it, because when summer started, everyone kind of got a reset to their mentality and stuff, so everyone was kind of like back to zero, while us were kind of like back to zero. But our square one wasn't really like that great to begin with, and I don't know. I think it just showed, because most of the games were just lost from individual like talent and play.
Yeah, what is a tactic that Schalke has tried to implement is this 10-man roster, and during the break, as Dylan Falco has previously said, you guys started swapping around, trying to find the best composition with the academy team available and with the LEC team available. Do you think then in the end that this is just the truth is that on Schalke 04 currently you don't have the manpower to contest with these middle tier LEC teams?
Um, yeah, I would say so. The academy swap experimenting was, I wouldn't say it was like a failure, but it was kind of like what was expected, because for the first like I think 4 weeks or so, or like 3 weeks, we were just kind of like splitting scrims between like two different sets of players, and effectively when you choose one of them to play on stage, you're kind of halving the number of scrims you had that week. Instead of playing like 5 games with the guy that's going to be starter, you effectively played like only like 2 in some days and 3 in some days, trying to like figure out what's the best fit for the team. And I think that was kind of like the story of the off season for Schalke, because they just kept we just kept swapping players left and right, trying to figure out what works. And over the course of like a month or a month and a half, you pretty much scrimmed the main roster for like only half the games. So you're kind of like behind on that learning curve, I would say. And yeah, I just think that we didn't really have this like incredible level of talent uh in academy. Like you didn't have like someone like let's just say Labrov or Kaiser in your academy, and then you just give him a bit of time on your main roster, and then he starts shining. It was just kind of like the same level of skill between like academy and the main team
Mm-hmm.
on like the roles we tried. So it didn't really like make a big difference. The difference was like so small between like the sets of players that um it wasn't really like that big of a thing. We just had to find whoever's more comfortable to play, and whoever has like the least issues, and try to iron them out and make it work for the main team. So yeah, I just think that we didn't really have like the highest level of talent um to like compete with like all these mid LEC teams, because the level of talent in EU like right now is quite high, because as you can see, everyone's kind of contesting everyone, and there is no like bad teams except kind of sadly Schalke.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just we're just one tier beneath most of these other teams, and
Yeah.
sad.
Something that was interesting to me, and actually quite a bit, it puzzled me a bit, is that you had this long off season and you had this time to find the main roster that you guys wanted to go with for the summer split. But then still in the summer split there were roster adjustments after the first week. You guys swapped the bot lane for performance reasons, and then the jungle was swapped because Lurox was not feeling well, but then Gilius ended up staying. This must is it difficult for you to constantly adapt to these new players when you're playing with a new roster all of a sudden?
Yeah, I mean, when change, I mean, let's just start from the beginning. Yeah, I mean, this off season we've been like trying out players, trying to get players signed to Schalke, and you know some of the time in the off season with scrims was like split between like trying out players from other teams or like other orgs, and trying out our own players, and then it kind of got swapped and swapped and swapped. And then at the last moment the deals would like fall with like the people we were like tryouting, so we're kind of
Mm-hmm.
like again back to square one with. And then the academy experiment started, because Schalke was like so confident, I would say, to get these like players from other teams, or like the people that we were like trying out. And then when those deals kind of like fell through, we kind of had to focus on our own like academy to kind of find the best out of that like bad situation. And yeah, of course it kind of sucks to swap players so often, especially like in scrims, because I don't really like swapping players back and forth. I just want to like do one big test and then just kind of like stick with the roster, unless it has like massive flaws, because then I could actually involve myself in in the growth of the team. While if we keep swapping players around, I'm just like I can't really like commit to improving this person, because it's like in 2 games they're playing with a different person. So it's like it doesn't really feel like my efforts would like stick,
Mm-hmm.
to get the training and like the growth across. So yeah, I don't know, it kind of like hindered our progress, because it's just the timing and the circumstances with us thinking that we can like actually get players was kind of like poor.
Yeah. There's two things I want to pick up on there. And the first thing is you said Schalke tried to get sign other players. Was this focused on ERL teams or also from other LEC teams? We saw, for example, Jack Troll being picked up by Origin now. So was he also a consideration for you guys during the off season? And or did you guys also focus on ERL teams or maybe other benched LEC players?
I mean, I don't think it's fair for me to say like what Schalke's targets were for this offseason, but uh, it was from like pretty much anywhere. It was like LEC, EARL. So yeah, people like, who was it? Like there's like all the ERL supports that are the kind of like that were up and coming from like the LEC, from the EU Masters team, were kind of like a priority. There was like people from LEC as well that were a priority. So there was like a wide area of like or a wide area of like people that Schalke was like interested in.
And it was mainly the support role.
Well, it was pretty much like anywhere we could like find upgrades. We were like they were kind of like looking at everything,
Right.
but um yeah, it was just kind of trying to see if there's like bot lane duos or like jungle or like anything. It was just kind of an assess. They were trying to make an assessment of like what's best for them to like upgrade.
Mm-hmm. And the second thing you spoke about is that you try to coach these newer players, and you are one of the most seasoned teams on the Schalke players on the Schalke roster. Is that a
Yeah, I'm a
role?
one-man team.
Yeah. Is that how you see it?
No, it is just kind of like a meme at your mistake.
Yeah. No, but is it something you try to do with this roster? Do you try to take the lead and get these younger players to that next level? Is that something you actively continue to try to do?
I mean, yeah, because I don't really like see myself as like a coach or anything, but it's just like if I put in the extra effort to try and like help my teammates become better, it's gonna like reflect in my play as well because I'm gonna have a lot less responsibilities during the games to shot call situations that I'm like trying to like get across and like reviews and all of this stuff. So it's kind of like one of the things that has to be done to kind of improve my own play as well.
Mm-hmm. And now you are in. It's gonna be very difficult for you guys to still make it to playoffs. I believe. I'm not entirely sure, but if it's not every match you have to win from here on out, it's at least close to that to still have a chance of making it to the
Yeah.
top six. Um, how are you going into these next few weeks? Do you still have the hopes, or have you set a different goal for you with the Schalke roster now?
Um, I don't know about the others, but I mean, Dylan still wants to like make playoffs, but for me, it's just I just wanna pick up some wins, and I don't really wanna end the split, like worst case 1-17 and stuff, because I know in the past I wasn't really like on rosters that were like struggling so much with like picking up wins. Most of the time we were like on the upper end, and um, being like so low on the standing is kind of like a shock to me, like personally. But at this point, I just try to take it game by game and try to just look to pick up wins. And if our form gets better and we win every game, then we maybe deserve playoffs. But even then, I think that with 8 and 10 or whatever it is,
Yeah.
it's still quite hard to make playoffs. But at the end of the day, I just wanna win more games than we have right now.
Yeah, as simple as that. And well, I wish you the best of luck with that, man. Thank you so much for joining me,
Thank you.
and good luck this weekend as well.
Thank you.